All right, everybody, thank you for coming this afternoon to celebrate the passage and to ceremonially sign some really important bills. This administration will always be an education-first administration. So I want to welcome so many advocates, education groups, students, professors, and so many others to your state capitol today. If we want to continue to attract the world-class companies that for the first time in my life are picking us for the biggest projects we have ever seen, we must have a world-class system of public education. It's how we begin to address historic inequities, to build that world-class workforce. It's how we embrace the opportunities and the jobs of the future. It's how we leapfrog not only 10 other states' economies, it's how we in Kentucky become a top 10 state economy. And that leaves more opportunities for every generation that comes after us than many of us had ever dreamed would be possible. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman, who is with us or will be joining us today, is such an important guide to this administration on our education issues. She is the first educator to serve as Lieutenant Governor since Martha Lane Collins, and what she brings from having stood in a classroom is so critical. We appreciate her leadership in everything from reorganizing the State Board of Education to ensure we have a pro-public education state board, to waiving testing fees for the first-time GED test takers. When we announced it right before COVID hit, seemed like it might not be the biggest announcement we made, but the outpouring of support and the numbers of additional people who, because of a couple $100, weren't taking a test that could change their life forever, it has a chance to be transformational. We also recently instituted a free ACT retake day for rising seniors, because what we have seen is high schoolers that take the ACT twice typically do about 5 points better, which opens up more opportunities and more scholarship dollars for them. In partnership with the General Assembly, our Better Kentucky plan has distributed more than $75 million to support the construction of vocational schools and needed upgrades, and there's about another $170 million coming too. These are going to totally transform what the inside of our current high schools look like and give people multiple career paths that right now can lead to such good employment. In total, local area vocational center operating funds also increased $58 million, and state-operated career and technical centers received more than $6.8 million. We also launched a pilot program called Everybody Counts in Jefferson County that this General Assembly funded a pretty significant expansion of that we're going to look forward to talking to. It starts with the proposition that we should get every single graduating senior either in higher education, and thank you to Evolve 502 for helping with that in Jefferson County, or we ought to get them signed up for a really good job before they graduate from high school, making sure that our seniors can pick whatever path they want to take, but we make sure that everybody is on a path before graduation. We're also providing funding for our critically important historically black colleges and universities. And we're increasing funding for post-secondary education institutions with $80 million each year. This is the most significant funding since budget cuts took about $250 million of our higher ed funding during difficult times, one of the largest increases in higher ed funding that we've seen in any single budget. The budget also funds the Bucks for Brains program with $40 million to be matched dollar for dollar with private donations. And Bucks for Brains will help support our world-class economy by aligning our post-secondary education with emerging needs of business and industries. The funds also help students prepare for employment and nurture their entrepreneurial spirit. And for the first time ever, this last budget funded an asset preservation fund with a major $683.5 million investment. We cannot let our buildings crumble at our institutions, and it shouldn't be your tuition that is ultimately repairing those facilities. It ought to be going straight to your education. It ought to be as low as possible. So this is a major investment that is going to help each of these universities. And while I'm pleased at a lot of the positive progress we are making, we got a lot more to do in upcoming sessions. According to studies, 90% of the brain is developed by the age of 5. And that's when we first get people into school right now. There are critical years leading up to that. As a governor and a dad who was fortunate enough to be able to fund my children's pre-K, I saw firsthand what it means. So my commitment is I will continue to push in each and every session for universal pre-K for every 4-year-old in Kentucky. Think about what that can mean. Every kid being kindergarten ready in Kentucky. And when they last did this in Washington, D.C., they increased their workforce by 10% in the first year. It's the right thing, and it's the smart thing. We also need to ensure that we get raises to every educator across Kentucky, more investment in textbooks and technology. We need a teacher loan forgiveness program that encourages people to get in by reducing the barriers that are there, and scholarship programs for students in need. So while there is more work to be done, in many ways this was a very good session for education, and we're highlighting a bunch of good bills today. And the legislators who sponsored the bills and the advocates that helped push for them are here today. You're a fundamental part of this process. And if you had any part in the bills we're signing today, your voice was certainly heard, and new policy was made because of it. So this afternoon, we're proud to ceremonially sign 6 bipartisan bills. How good does that feel? Bipartisan bills that are helping us support Kentucky education and building that better Kentucky for each and every family. Our first bill today is House Bill 194. House Bill 194 expands options for high school students in alternative schools to earn a high school diploma. In Kentucky, approximately 24,000 students are enrolled in alternative education programs. Unfortunately, for many of them, by the age of 17, they haven't earned enough credits to graduate on time. When they turn 18, they choose to drop out. House Bill 194 helps fix that problem, allowing these students to take the GED exam, earning a high school equivalency diploma. Now, they have a path forward without that lack of a high school equivalent holding them back. With all these jobs that we're announcing, jobs of the future, they'll have that same bright path forward. It could be post-secondary, learning a trade, or enlisting in the military. House Bill 194 provides that much-needed additional support to students that need it the most, expanding economic and educational opportunity, and I believe living out our faith and values of serving the lost, the lonely, and the left behind, and especially for our young adults and our children, making sure we forget about no one and do everything we can to lift up those that need a little more help. So now I'd like to invite one of the bill's sponsors, Representative D.J. Johnson, to say a few words. Thank you for your legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Beshear, and thank you for all that are here today. I am honored to have sponsored House Bill 194. I was simply the primary sponsor. There were many sponsors for it, and that's because we all recognized one thing, and that is that we need to do everything we can to help these young people be prepared for their future careers as they are going into adulthood. And 194 does that, and I'm very excited about that. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I did want to recognize 2 people that are here today who were critical to getting the process started for House Bill 194. The first one is Jeremy Cameron. Jeremy, stand up for me, buddy. Jeremy is a principal in Owensboro, Davis County area. He brought this idea to me, and I thought it was originally his idea, but then I found out today that there was actually another inspiration for this bill. So, Sarah Vivian, would you please stand up? Sarah is actually the principal that literally had 2 students sitting in her classroom, and one of the students was allowed to take the GED and one wasn't because of the criteria that were in place at the time. 194 fixed that. So, Sarah, thank you for stepping forward, and I just want to say it's folks like them coming to legislators, telling us what's going on in Kentucky that allows us to make better bills, and that's what this does. So, Governor, thank you very much for having me today, and thank you for 194.
Well, we definitely need those responsible to come up for the signing. Who else would you like to invite?
Bob, are you here? Bob Rowland, where are you? You want to come up? You can or not, but definitely these 2.
Okay.
There he is. He's over here.
Oh, you got to bring your kids. Got to. It's the one rule of the rotunda. All right. Next, we have House Bill 277. Like House Bill 194, House Bill 277 expands opportunity, but this time for our teachers. The bill creates more options for receiving teacher certification. Having as many teachers as possible is the best way to ensure a quality education for students in the Commonwealth. House Bill 277 responds to our need, and we definitely need more teachers right now by doing at least two things. First, it creates a new expedited alternative certification pathway referred to as Option 9 using a residency program. This new route will be available to candidates who have not obtained a bachelor's degree but will have to be approved by the Educational Professionals Standards Board, or EPSB. Second, it authorizes any person receiving emergency teaching certification during 2021 or 2022 to be eligible to renew that certification from 2022 to 2023. Having more teachers is critical. And by increasing the number of teachers in schools, students are going to get more individual attention, and more courses and programs can be offered. While the bill will not completely fill the shortage that we know is out there, it does get the ball rolling on getting more teachers into school and giving our students the educational experience they deserve. So I'd like to invite Representative Walker Thomas, one of the bill's sponsors, to come up and say a few words. Thank you. Appreciate that. And at the end, if you want to invite whoever you'd like to.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me this today. And did want to just say a few things. I hope it's not repetitive from what the governor just said, but we're all aware of the teacher shortage. We know this is happening not just here in Kentucky, but across our nation. Because of this shortage, we need to think differently about recruiting the best resources for our students, and that best resource are our teachers. This bill is just one way to address this need with a new initiative or option towards teacher certification. Creating a Grow Our Own Teacher Residency program will allow a teacher pipeline in our own communities. Option 9 will still require the vigor in coursework, taking and passing of the praxis exams, and a partnership with the university. They will graduate with a bachelor's degree and complete all certifications set forth by the Educational Professional Standards Board before they'll be hired as teachers. These future teachers are working in our schools alongside a master teacher to gain valuable and extensive training and opportunities to teach. Option 9 will allow paraprofessionals from our communities who are hired as full-time employees in a school while participating in an accelerated program towards a bachelor's degree and teacher certification. It is a challenging time for our schools to fill vacancies and recruit new individuals into this esteemed profession. This bill is a game changer for districts who are interested in growing their own teachers. We want a pipeline of teachers to recruit who live in our communities, who know the kids, and who have a passion for teaching. Our students need and deserve the very best teachers, and I know some of those future teachers are students who are living in my hometown and your hometown. They just need a different path towards becoming a teacher. I want to thank just a few people, and it's exactly what Representative Johnson said. These ideas are started in our own communities. I had Beverly Fort, who's our Christian County teacher recruiter, come to me with this idea, and it just blossomed from there. So I do want to thank her, Gretchen Wetzel, she's the Executive Director of West Kentucky Educational Cooperative, Mansell Elam, he's our Christian County District Diversity Administrator, and Josh Collins, who's our Education Legislative Committee Analysis, who put all the words together. So I do want to thank all of them, and thank you, Governor, for signing this bill. This bill passed unanimously with the Governor signing it, so this truly is a bipartisan bill. Thank you. Please, whoever wants to come up and get in this picture, I don't know if I can borrow your family again, but having two young ones is sure great.
On to our next bill, Senate Bill 9. The bill known as the Read to Succeed Act aims to improve early literacy education. Currently, only 30% of third graders in Kentucky are at reading proficient level. That is a number that is not acceptable, that we need to get higher, and we should all be committed to making that happen. Early literacy rates have a direct correlation to future graduation rates, as research indicates that students not reading proficiently by the end of grade 3 are 4 times more likely not to finish high school. That's why today we are celebrating Senate Bill 9. The bill takes multiple steps towards improving childhood literacy. First, it improves and expands diagnostic assessment, establishing a reliable and universal screener for reading. This will help ensure that we know when a student's falling behind and who needs that extra help. Second, it develops intervention and student supports as well as family engagement, including at-home learning strategies. And finally, it strengthens teacher training and development now. Teachers are going to be trained on how to properly interpret reading diagnostic results and how to use those results to design instruction and intervention plans to get that individual student or maybe groups of students back on track. I'm proud to support this bill that will help young students of Kentucky receive an improved literacy education. So I'd like to invite bill sponsor Senator Steve West to say a few more words.
Thank you, Governor. This is one of those good days in Frankfort as legislator, and I would like to get James Tipton up here as well to stand beside me. This was truly a team effort for about 4 years, and basically Senate Bill 9, it's not complicated. If a child can learn to read by 3rd grade, the rest of their life is changed forever in a positive way. Their educational attainment levels increase exponentially, and their general quality of life increases as well. So about 4 years ago, James and I were at a SREB meeting in Florida, I believe, and we were seeking presentations, and we're in a presentation on early literacy, what other states were doing in the South, and a light bulb went off in our heads. Wow, these states are knocking it out of the park. What can we do? Can we do this here in Kentucky? And we got back to Frankfort, we put our heads together, and we started work. We thought our idea was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, it took us about 4 years to convince 136 other people that it was a no-brainer. But we got it across the finish line, and we passed this past session Senate Bill 9. The goal of Senate Bill 9 is to make sure that all kids in Kentucky can read by 3rd grade. As the governor mentioned, we are behind, we're not doing enough, and it's not happening. Our scores show that, and our achievement gaps show that. But it's not because of a lack of effort of our teachers and our Read to Achieve folks. It's the fact that maybe they don't have enough tools, maybe they don't have enough equipment. And this bill aims to equip our teachers to get the job done, to make sure every kid has a chance. I would like to personally thank some people who helped us along the way. First and foremost, Representative Tipton. I believe he's going to say a few words here in a second. I would like to thank Mickey Ray at KDE, Amanda Ellis at KDE, who is with CPE now, Joe Burks in the Senate Leadership Office, Chuck Truesdale, who was with KDE at the time, and all those who helped with the passage. And notably, I would also like to thank the governor for signing the bill. That really helped. If there ever were a bipartisan bill, this is it. This is truly a bipartisan bill, cuts across all party lines, and thank you, Governor, for signing. Without further ado, Representative Tipton.
Thank you, Senator West. I'm so honored to be here today. Thank you, Governor. Like the Senator said, we started working on this about 4 years ago. You know, I asked myself a simple question. What's one thing we can do to raise the bar? What's one thing we can do to have a significant impact for the future of our children? And as the Senator said, being able for a child to be able to read proficiently. Reading and education will open up the world to a child. There are so many opportunities out there. I truly believe that this is an education bill that can bridge generational poverty. It can provide those opportunities for students to succeed in life. It's more than an education bill, it's a workforce development bill. If we want to have the workforce for the jobs that are coming to Kentucky, we have to have a well-educated workforce, and that starts with the ability to read. It's an economic development bill because we have to have that workforce for the companies to come, so it all ties in together. I'm very honored to be here today, and I truly believe that Senate Bill 9 can have a generational positive impact for the people of Kentucky. Thank you.
Thank you, Senators. Now I'd like to ask Bridget Bloom, the Executive Director of the Pritchard Committee for Academic Excellence, to join us and offer a few more words.
Thank you. I just want to underscore the importance of the passage of this bill. Improving early literacy in a persistently poor state is critical for Kentucky to realize a big, bold future. In fact, it's estimated that over $300 billion would be added to Kentucky's economy if all fourth graders achieved basic literacy. In 2015, Kentucky ranked 8th on NAEP, our nation's report card, a climb from 26th in the nation in 2007, and from the bottom of the national rankings in the 1980s. Sadly, by 2019, Kentucky had fallen back to 26th. Ensuring sustained improvement requires a focus on the primary element that is of paramount importance to student outcomes, teaching. In the fall of 2020, the Pritchard Committee convened the Task Force on Educator Preparation and Professional Learning, Literacy, and Numeracy for Primary Grades. The creation of the task force followed discussions in the 2020 General Assembly session about the need for such a review. Its participants included legislators, teachers, and principals, students, post-secondary and state education leaders, and Pritchard Committee members. The recommendations of the task force reflected the need for systemic change and support for good teaching practice and professional learning that is practical, evidence-based, and successful in improving student outcomes. The Read to Succeed Act does just that and puts $22 million investment behind it. I'd like to thank Senator West and Representative Tipton for their commitment and focus on this issue over multiple years. Together, they refused to let up on the issue of early literacy, and their tenacity paid off. I'd also like to thank Senate leadership for making this bill a clear priority as Senate Bill 9, and to House leadership for their undeniable commitment to this issue. Thank you to Governor Andy Beshear for his ceremonial signing today. Kentucky's education outcomes and economy will be stronger because of our shared commitment to ensure stronger literacy in the early grades. Lastly, thank you to all the partners here today. You each are leading this work to success. The passage of legislation and state investment is but one step in the process. Strong implementation at the state and local level is where ultimately the gains will be made. With bipartisan legislation focused on improving Kentucky's educational attainment, like the Read to Succeed Act, we will pass on a big, bold future to the next generation of Kentuckians. Thank you.
How are you? I'm doing okay. All right. All right, next is House Bill 290. This bill is known as the Kentucky Campus Due Process Act. And let me tell you, those that came together to support this could teach us a little something up here in Frankfort about getting along and working together. I mean, today we've got representatives from the University of Kentucky, the Kentucky College Democrats, the Kentucky Federation for College Republicans, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, members of the Young Americans for Freedom, LGBTQ student activists from the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville, people from the Student Government Association. Man, please don't stop working together and listening to each other, and more importantly than anything we call politics, trying to do the right thing. I don't want to steal Julia Mattingly's thunder, who's here with us today to represent these groups. I'm going to invite her up here. She is a senior at U of L who's personally advocated for this bill to say a few words.
Thank you, Governor, for your kind words. Hi, my name is Julia Mattingly. I'm a rising senior at the University of Louisville this year. I would first like to say that I'm incredibly honored and grateful to be here today and to have played a role in the passage of the Kentucky Campus Due Process Protection Act, one of the largest student rights bills the Commonwealth has ever seen. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't for the efforts of Mr. Michael Frazier, Representatives Banta and Moser, Senators Alvarado and Westerfield, Governor Beshear, Liam Gallagher, and so many other students who have been involved in this work. Thank you all for working so diligently to ensure equity and fairness in Kentucky's universities. I first began to understand the importance of this legislation last summer when I was subject to pervasive harassment and defamation by another student at my university. When I had sought out the Dean of Students' office for help, university attorneys reviewed my case and determined that my allegations did not rise to a violation of the Student Code of Conduct. A representative from the Dean of Students' office informed me that I could file a formal complaint and receive a conduct hearing. However, they told me I would have to act as my own attorney by collecting affidavits from all those involved and preparing an oral argument to be presented to a board. As an undergraduate who has absolutely no legal experience, I was shocked at the notion that I was to represent myself at the hearing and was not allowed to seek help from legal counsel. After this incident, I felt defeated. I was frustrated that I had never received adequate due process rights that I had understood to be constitutionally guaranteed. And most importantly, I was no longer confident that my rights would be protected as a Kentucky college student. But today, with the signage of this historic legislation, I have confidence again. I have confidence that Kentucky universities will work to ensure fairness for their students, and I have confidence that from today on, Kentucky college students will be afforded the same due process rights on campus as they would be off campus. The passage of this bill has shown that our governor and our legislature is truly dedicated to the rights of Kentucky college students. And for that, we thank you.
Julia, hang on, we got to sign it. So I want to make sure I invite everybody who is here that worked on this: Michael Frazier, representatives from UK, the Kentucky College Democrats, the Kentucky Federation for College Republicans. It does me good to read this list multiple times. Joe Kahn and Tyler Coward from the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, members of the Young Americans for Freedom, our LGBTQ student activists, and any other student government representatives. Let's sign House Bill 290 into law. Now let's talk about House Bill 678. From gymnasiums to classrooms, many school districts and communities are in need of new facilities. Though they have the funds to construct these facilities, layers of bureaucracy can make the process take months to over a year to be approved. That's why I'm signing House Bill 678, which accomplishes two things. First, it establishes a 2-year pilot project that allows school districts to begin construction projects without needed approval from the state level, except initial approval from the initial project documents. Second, it requires the Kentucky Department of Education to review current facility and construction administrative regulations to find new efficiencies. We're already seeing the positive effect. For example, a county pretty important to me, Hopkins County, has now begun their projects such as the auxiliary and the storm shelter gyms. Think about what it means to those students in Hopkins County right now to be able to have those storm shelter gyms on site with everything that they have been through. Improving inefficiencies and streamlining the process to allow districts to construct facilities desperately needed is why House Bill 678 is great news for the Commonwealth. I'd like to invite Henry Webb, Kenton County School Superintendent, to say a few words.
Thank you, Governor. I'm honored to represent Kenton County and school administrators all across the state of Kentucky speaking on House Bill 678. As we know, part of a world-class education system is world-class facilities. So this effectiveness, this timely, giving districts the ability to make quick decisions, whether it's a storm shelter, which is much needed, especially in Hopkins County in that area, we all know what they've been through, or other meaningful changes in school facilities to allow innovative ideals for reading projects, such as to improve reading, as we just heard earlier. Local school boards now, if they choose, will have the option in this pilot program to make quick, effective decisions to also save money, valuable resources, time and money, in making sure we have world-class facilities for our kids. And for that, I would like to thank just a few people, Governor. Sure. Representative Massey, who's been a champion for education and championed this bill. He formed a committee and brought in stakeholders to give feedback on this bill, and without Representative Massey leading the charge, we would not be here today. Can we give him a round of applause? I'd also like to thank any member of the committee that Mr. Ed Massey pulled together. I know Rob Haney, our Chief Operations Officer from Kenton County, is here. If any other members are here, we'd like to thank you. Can we give them a round of applause? And I know a dear friend Education, Rhonda Caldwell with KASA and our K groups that helped advocate for this bill are also here in support of this bill. Rhonda, thank you all so much. We give them a round of applause. To the Kentucky Department of Education, we thank them for participating in this process and look forward to what they come up with in the next 2 years to make sure we continue to be effective with our school facilities, to make sure every child in Kentucky has a world-class facility. So with that, Governor, we thank you for signing this legislation and thank our legislator for passing it. Thank you.
So let's have our administrators and our bill sponsor and everybody that worked on this bill that's here to celebrate it today up for the signing. All right, finally, I want to focus on Senate Bill 164. This bill establishes the Imagination Library of Kentucky program. The program was created by Dolly Parton, and it'll be a vital in expanding and ensuring that children around the Commonwealth have access to books. The bill also creates the Imagination Library of Kentucky Program Trust Fund, consisting of state general fund appropriations, gifts, and grants from public and private sources, as well as federal funds. Currently, Kentucky has 90 programs covering portions of 76 of our 120 counties. Only 15% of eligible children in the state are currently receiving books through community imagination library programs. But thanks to this bill, the Imagination Library is now expanding to all 120 counties. Under the program, every month, each registered child from ages 0 to 5 shall receive a book at no cost to the family. Children all around Kentucky will have free access to books, also contributing to addressing that literacy rate and expanding our kids' minds, creating innovation, and lowering educational attainment gaps. So I'd like to ask one of the bill's sponsors, Senator Morgan McGarvey, to say a few words about the legislation.
Thank you, Governor. This is a wonderful moment, a great opportunity for the state of Kentucky, one that's been a couple of years in the making. We first put funding in the budget so that kids could begin receiving books. Now it is state law that the Dolly Parton Imagination Library is here to stay, and the funding is there as well. This is a great public-private partnership that guarantees any child in Kentucky who wants it between the ages of 0 to 5 can get a book delivered to their home monthly. You heard Senator West and Chairman Tipton talk about being ready to read by 3rd grade. That starts well before kids get to school. We know the effectiveness of having books in the home, that when kids go to kindergarten, their scores are shown to be measurably higher in places where the Dolly Parton Imagination Library exists. It helps parents. Each book comes with a little flap on the inside that tells you how to read to your children, how to talk about this with your kids, ask them about the books, get them engaged. I know from my own kids how important this is and how we can move the needle in Kentucky. It's important, too, to note that this was bipartisan. I'd like to thank Senate President Robert Stivers for co-sponsoring this bill. I'd like to thank Chairman Michael Meredith in the House for helping us carry it through the House and get funding. And of course, you know, we talk about constituents bringing things to us. Staff do as well. I'd like to thank Leslie Caudle on our staff in the Senate Democratic office. She went to a conference several years ago and saw Dolly Parton speak and said Kentucky needs to get in on the forefront of this. And this is it. Kentucky is one of the first states, or among the first states in the country, to adopt the Dolly Parton Imagination Library statewide. This is a bipartisan win for our kids. And Governor, I appreciate you signing and pushing this bill as well. Thank you guys very much. We have some people here. Come on up. We'll sign the bill.
Thank you all. Thank you to the legislators who worked on these important bills. Thank you to the advocates that are here today trying to make this world a better place each and every day. And these bipartisan bills, and you heard that on each one, didn't you? These bipartisan bills show what we can do when we work together, when we stop trying to pull each other right or left and just move forward, the good things that we can make happen here in the Commonwealth. And there's so much that we're achieving all at the same time. our record-breaking economic growth, creating more jobs than ever before, providing clean water systems and high-speed internet all over the Commonwealth to families that have never seen them, improving our infrastructure and advancing our healthcare and education systems like we've done today. Let's keep working together. Let's continue to build on these achievements, and let's try to realize that collective dream that every single child and young Kentuckian deserves amazing opportunities, a chance to succeed. And today, I think we have definitely moved in that direction. Thank you all very much.